What is up, everyone? I'm Ryan from Fireside Knicks with my friend and co-host Dylan Backer. And, following that Game 1 win, you're riding high, you feel great. That Game 2 was definitely a fall from grace. That was not at all a pretty game to watch for the New York Knicks. There's really no excuse for it. There's no way for us to sit here and rationalize what was a really bad performance. But with that being said, we're going to get into everything about today, that game, everything about that disaster. If you want to call it a game, it's more of a disaster than a game. But before we get into everything, Dylan, how you doing today, my friend? Tell me a little bit about what you saw in Game 2.
Right, so I'm doing good first off, and like you said, Game 1 and Game 2, completely different outcomes, obviously. Game 1, thrilling victory, and Game 2, pretty disappointing loss. I mean, nothing really stood out in Game 2, if you want me to be honest. We had, a small lead early in the game, and then we gave it up and really never came close to even threatening that lead ever again, after we lost it. They were down double digits pretty much the entire game after that late first quarter. They were down 20 at the half and never really even came close after that. Continuously stayed down by like 15, 16 points, and they ended up losing by 17 points. Just not a good game overall at all whatsoever. I mean, they shot the ball poorly. They shot 36% from the field and 24% from three, which is just atrocious. And, they also turned the ball over way too much. I think they had 17 turnovers and only 16 assists. So they had more turnovers than assists. I mean, that's brutal. They had just brutal. Nobody really did well at all. Julius Randle was the leading scorer with 22, but inefficiently. He went 8 of 20. Jalen Brunson had 20, but also inefficiently. He went like 5 of 17. Nothing really was good about that game. I'm just going to be honest. Like nothing really wowed me with that. If anything, that was just a complete disappointment. So and I remember in last episode I mentioned that the offense was what needed to, improve for Game 2, because even though we won Game 1, it wasn't pretty offense. They didn't do that in Game 2. They took a complete step back. It was not good offense whatsoever. I mean, quite frankly, it's everything you didn't want to do for an offense on a basketball team. They only scored 90 points. I think that was like their second lowest mark the entire season. I think their previous lowest mark was like a 70-point game early in November or something like that. So, I mean, this was just not a good game. This is a game that the Knicks kind of need to just, put in the rearview mirror, focus on Game 3 and 4. You're heading back to the Garden. You're still in good shape. It's a 1-1 series. You have the home court advantage the rest of the series, technically. So, with that being said, focus on these next games coming up. Games 3 and 4 are huge games, and you have the edge because you're playing them at your home floor. So, that's what I'm hoping they can just improve a lot of things in Game 3, because there's quite a bit to work on in Game 3. And Ryan, I kind of want your take on this. What's like the biggest thing they kind of need to improve on in Game 3 right out of the gate?
As you mentioned, it's the offense, right? They have not shot efficiently. They don't look very good in terms of their 3-point shot that hasn't looked excellent. Their efficiency has not looked good. And the one guy I'm looking at who, I feel like has been the biggest net negative so far has been RJ Barrett. What exactly are we getting from RJ right now? The first game we had played great defense, but the first two games of this series, he's been absolutely terrible. He's been, to say bad offensively, I feel like he's an understatement. He's been atrocious offensively. I'm not going to sit here and say that, there's no excuse for it. Like, some guys just have off games, but, if you're Tom Thibodeau, if you're the New York Knicks, right? How much longer can you be giving RJ Barrett minutes? Like, are we using this series for him to figure it out? Because, you may not have another, every single game is for your life at this point, right? You lose this series, your season is over. And this is a team that I feel like can beat the Cavs. So, we saw towards the end, we saw Deuce McBride on the court, and I want to get, your take on this, but, do you think the Knicks could go with more McBride minutes, kind of cut down some RJ minutes, throw in McBride a little bit more? That might be something they do, because he didn't look too bad when guarding Garland, and that's something that the Knicks struggled heavily to do. And getting a little more defense, if you're not going to get offense, at least you're getting great defense there. And also, if you look at the starting lineup, potentially moving Hart there, maybe move Hart into the 3 spot, or and you have McBride and quickly running together. Who knows? But man, they really have to do something about this, about the rotations. What do you think?
Right. Something's got to be done about it because, I mean, at this point, you can't keep running out RJ if he's just going to keep playing the way he's been playing. I'm not someone to write off a 22-year-old kid. Obviously, he's young. He has plenty of time to improve. This is the playoffs. We're not here to kind of see if you can figure it out or give you that development time. No, right now, you have to play the best guys that are playing right now. And RJ Barrett is not one of those best guys that's playing right now, quite frankly. Like you said, he played good defense in game one, but game two, I mean, he just disappeared. I mean, I don't know, quite frankly, everyone disappeared in game two. So, obviously you may think it's unfair if I'm pointing the finger just at RJ. But RJ wasn't good in game one either offensively. And quite frankly, it's been a topsy-turvy season for him all year long. So, like, when can you keep putting up with this? It's consistently inconsistent, which is a really bad thing. You can't. It's constantly just one game he'll look all right, next game he just looks awful. And yesterday, every time he had the ball, I mean, he just looked lost on the floor. I mean, I don't know what he was trying to do, but he just did not look right whatsoever. It looked like that's not the RJ we saw last year, where he was way more aggressive, attacking the basket, drawing fouls, all that. He's not doing that, and he's struggling to get through guys like Darius Garland, who is a small point guard and not quite frankly a mismatch for RJ. So you would think RJ would be able to attack that, but he's not able to even do that right now, which is a problem. You know what I mean? Like, the Cavaliers have a good defense, yes, but their backcourt defense is one of their weakest links, and RJ couldn't even get through that. That's a concern. RJ's, and like his 3-point efficiency has been just atrocious, to be quite frankly. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw him make a couple threes in a game. I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to be like super pessimistic about this. Obviously I'm still hoping he can turn it around, the rest of the series, but he's just not right now. And with it being the playoffs and now it's a 1-1 series, you have to really start thinking like, how much longer do we keep running out RJ when you have guys that are more impactful on that side, such as Quickly, Hart? You mentioned McBride. The possibility of having him play some defense at this point to kind of tighten it up a bit. There's a lot of things you have to start wondering now. Obviously you don't want to start thinking about like the future with RJ during the playoffs. You don't want to get too deep into that. It's a question though that has to come up. It's definitely something that's been going on for quite a while. This isn't like anything new. All season long we've been kind of questioning like, where's RJ's fit on this team? What is his role? How well does he fit? Can he play with these guys? Can he coexist with them? We've been wondering that all year. I think right now we're starting to unfortunately see the answer that it might not be the case. Hopefully he can prove me wrong and go out game 3 and 4, have phenomenal games. But my confidence level in him is decreasing. And quite frankly, a lot of people are feeling the same way. They love the kid. He's a young kid. They know what he can do. He's a very talented basketball player. That's not, taking that down on him. He was a 3rd overall pick for a reason. He was a very good player, but right now things are just not clicking with him whatsoever. And it's unfortunate to see, obviously, because, I love RJ as much as the next guy. I have his jersey and everything. But it's just, whatever's going on, it's not working. And, I guess I have a question for you, Ryan, on this. Do you think they need to consider maybe starting Josh Hart? Because, I mean, Josh Hart's already been getting more minutes than RJ as it is. And obviously maybe during the playoffs you don't want to always change what's been working. We did that in 2021. We put Rose in at the starting point guard. We ended up losing the 3 games. You obviously don't want to mess things up too much in the playoffs. But if RJ's, kind of hurting our offense this badly to where we're only scoring 90 points, do you think that's something the Knicks have to consider with, maybe putting Hart in that lineup?
Yeah, no, I think you have to put Josh Hart in the starting lineup. Look, I get your point with you don't want to mess with a lot, but it's not like the Knicks have had a successful series so far. Like, they won the first game, but they didn't play great basketball in that first game. The offense still didn't look great. End of the day, I think this team needs to go in a different direction with the starting lineup. This isn't even like you're moving. I'd understand if we were moving, okay, should quickly go from the bench to starting role, because I think that would be a little bit much, right? You're changing the guy who's been your best asset off the bench. You're the 6th man of the year, and you're now making them a starter. That really hurts your bench scoring. But moving Josh Hart with RJ Barrett, I think that's just a fit thing. As you said, Josh Hart, fits better with that starting lineup. RJ's been bad, but, if you're going to play him with that second unit, there's a chance you can get a bunch of points there. The Cavs bench is not very good. So you feel like if RJ can get on one, if RJ Barrett can start rolling a little bit, he can go out there and he can get a lot of points, and that second unit's going to give him the opportunity to be aggressive and drive to the basket and not have to run into the Jared Allen and Evan Mobley duo that's going to be terrorizing you internally in the paint. But smarter basketball has to be played by RJ Barrett. That has to happen. I think he's capable of it. He's just got to play a little bit smarter. And the guy I need this guy to get more minutes. It's McBride. I think the Knicks are a better team with McBride on the court. Or in the rotation, excuse me, than with him off the rotation. His defense is just that good. His offense is brutal. There's no other way to put it. His offense is brutal, but the Knicks as an offense are not nearly as the Knicks as an offense don't lose nearly enough to say that he's unplayable. Just based on the net rating, the defensive impact is greater than the offensive impact in a good way. So I do think I want to see more McBride minutes, but at the end of the day, the heart for Barrett switch just feels like the natural one you can make in the starting lineup. What do you think?
Right, and no, I don't disagree. I mean, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter were talking about this yesterday, and I kind of agree with it. It doesn't seem like Hart and Barrett can really mesh together on the court together. Whatever it is, it's just not working. One of them needs to have the ball, and one of them is trying to do one thing that the other's trying to do. I mean, they're both going for the same rebounds. They're both trying to drive in. It's cluttering the paint. Nothing's happening out of it. Like you said, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley in there. You're not going to get much as it is. You kind of need to space the floor as much as you can to force those guys out of the paint and get them to actually guard you from the perimeter. If you're not threatening them at all from the perimeter, they're not going to waste their time guarding you out there. You know what I mean? They're just going to clog that paint and make sure you can't get those layups, and they'll take your chances on shooting the three because you're not hitting it right now. So I definitely agree. Maybe it's a fit thing. Maybe they need to put in Hart because he just fits better with the starting lineup. Like I've said, it's tough adjusting something like that in the playoffs because it can easily backfire because it's like you're making a massive adjustment in the middle of a huge playoff series that that determines the fate of your season, really. But it gets to a point where it might be necessary. Because like I said, it's been something we've been wondering all year with RJ. Even when Josh Hart came here, we've been saying, should Josh Hart eventually, start over RJ Barrett or even Quentin Grimes? At this point, I think it's becoming clearer that Barrett's becoming the guy that might be the odd man out of that, in that conversation. It's unfortunate because like I said, I love RJ, and I've seen RJ have great games where he's shooting the three well, he's getting to the paint well, he's drawing fouls, he's finishing well. From what I've seen, he's just everything's off. He's missing layups. He's missing threes. He's not, the defense, was fine in game one, but I mean, it's not like insane defense. This isn't like Hakeem Olajuwon defense or anything like that. This is just, it's good enough defense, but the good enough defense and the awful offense does not balance out. You know what I mean? You need to, if you're not scoring, it's not going to work. RJ's supposed to be the guy where, right now he's obviously the third option on the team, but he was supposed to be someone that you can depend on to score 20 points a game, to get extra points when there's pressure on Brunson and Randall and when they're not scoring. He was supposed to be someone that could do that. Right now, you can't even trust him with that. You can't even trust Barrett with the ball right now because you don't know what he's going to do. There's too many possessions that I've personally seen where Barrett will get the ball, in the perimeter and kind of just stop and kind of freeze, try to size up his defender, do a couple jab steps, try to go left or right. He gets stopped at the baseline and goes for a weird fadeaway finish that just doesn't come close to really going in. It leads to defensive rebounds, leads to too many fast breaks for opposing teams. I've seen that way too much. Stuff like that he needs to cut out of his game because that's stuff that gets you benched, to be quite honest with you. And there's a reason why Barrett didn't close game one, why he went with Grimes, why Tom Thibodeau went with Grimes in the final 3 minutes of that game, because Barrett started making those dumb decisions and it almost cost us the game. And they had to make a rational decision to put in Grimes at the last minute, and it ended up working. But you're hanging by a thread because of that. So we can't have that continuously happen. Obviously last game was just a blowout. We didn't really stand a chance. And it's not all RJ's fault. Obviously, it would be unfair if I pointed the finger at him, like I said, because quite frankly, everybody played awful in game two. Nobody played well really whatsoever. So if I just said, oh, it's all RJ, no, that's not fair. That would be completely unfair of me to do. But it's definitely part of the problem. If he's continuing to play like that, it's part of the issue. Because when guys are off like that, like Brunson and Randall, for example, when they are off like that, you're supposed to be able to lean on Barrett to kind of, give you that insurance, give you the extra 20 points that you're missing out on, or give you the extra 25 points you're missing out on, and get you good efficiency, keep you in a ball game, because, I mean, we didn't stand a chance. Like I said, we were down 20 basically the entire second half. Things like that you have to have as a third option, and Barrett has not been that guy. It's unfortunate to see. I mean, I kind of just want your take on basically what I just said. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, no, Barrett's playing at a rate that's unacceptable, but as you mentioned, a lot of players in this series have not stepped up offensively. Obviously, it's not RJ Barrett's fault only that the Knicks lost. If you remove RJ Barrett from the equation, the Knicks probably still don't win that game. But it's not like he's helping them either. And entering Game 3, we know that this is a critical game. The Knicks, you're at home, you have to win this game. This is your game to win. I think the guy I'm looking for to step up is Emmanuel Quickly. He has not had a great series. I know he's capable of going out there and putting up big points. Emmanuel Quickly, I think, is going to make the difference here in Game 3. I think the Knicks are going to win that game. I think they'll win it 110 to 104. That is my prediction. I think Emmanuel Quickly goes out there and he has a 20-plus point game. Tell me what your thoughts are on that and your thoughts for Game 3.
Right. So, obviously this episode's been very pessimistic because it was an awful loss. But, now at the end of the day, we need to look forward to Game 3. It's a 1-1 series. We still have the advantage, so we got to look at it that way. We have the home court. Game 3 at home. Game 4 also at home. We have a good chance to head back to Cleveland up 3-1 because of that. So let's take care of business and let's get that. Shake off this bad loss. Shake off all that. And like you said, the guy I'm looking for, it's also Quickly. He hasn't had a good series, like you said. Hasn't shot the ball very well. I think he got his first field goal of the series last night on when we were down by 20 already. So I mean, it kind of just didn't really mean much, So I'm hoping now that he's heading back to the Garden, a place that he clearly loves to play at, that he can kind of kick it up a notch, get the crowd going crazy, get in the Cavaliers' head a little bit, kind of deepen up the roster a bit here, because quite frankly we've been leaning on Brunson and Randall quite a lot, and Randall hasn't even been 100%. So you kind of got to get these other guys to step up. Obviously Josh Hart did in Game 1, but Josh Hart only had 5 points yesterday. He was hobbled. I'll let it go. He almost didn't play. So I'm looking for Quickly to do something. Quickly's been, like I said, he's been quiet this series. I want him to come out and have a fantastic game. I want him to, I'm not expecting 30 points out of him. Of course not. It's the playoffs. But I'm hoping I can get a good, 15 to 20 points on very good efficiency, and just play good defense like he always has. That's stuff I want to see. The Emmanuel Quickly that I saw in the regular season, I want to see on Friday night when we head back to the Garden and play the Cavaliers for Game 3. That's what I want to see, and I think if he can do that, we will have a good game. We can win that game. I think the Knicks can win that game. My final score prediction will be Knicks 109, Cavaliers 105. It'll be a 4-point game. It'll be a dogfight game. I don't think it's going to be another blowout. I don't think the Knicks are going to, I don't think the Knicks will let this haunt them back too much. I hope not. And I also think they're going to, try a lot harder, be a little more physical, because, the Cavaliers have clearly shown that they're willing to be very physical. So looking at that, I think this is going to be a dogfight of a game. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be a thriller. First playoff game in the Garden in 2 years. I think, it'll be loud, electric. I think it'll be a great game. I'm really hoping it's a great game. I'm really hoping the Knicks can win this game. I'm really hoping they don't, fall deeper into the dirt and lose again, because if you go down 2-1, then you start to panic a little bit. Right now it's 1-1. It's essentially a best-of-5 series up to this point. So they just got to go out and do their thing and hopefully win this game and just do the right things they've been doing, and like I said, Quickly's got to be that guy that can come off the bench and get you a bunch of points. That's my take on it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, end of the day, the Knicks have to go out. They have to score early, get an early lead. The Cavs are not a team that's going to go on a 50-point run. Again, we know this team that this team's strength is their defense. We're talking about the Cavs, of course. I again think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think the Knicks need to win this game, and I think they will. But obviously, we'll wait and see. I mean, it's going to be an interesting game. It's obviously the biggest game of the year. Obviously, this game is going to this game could decide the series, so very excited for it. But with that being said, if you guys want to join the conversation, let us know what you guys think ahead of Game 3. Huge matchup, massive game, as Dylan hinted at. First playoff game at Madison Square Garden in 2 years. First playoff game at Madison Square Garden, really in the post-COVID kind of more normalized era of sports attendance. So expect it to be rocking, expect it to be loud. And of course, if you guys want to talk here and you guys want to discuss with us, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you guys know when we're doing our next podcast. And, of course, you guys can check out our Twitter, Instagram, and our TikTok. If you guys listen to this on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, drop a 5-star rating. And we will see you guys in the next video. Check out our Twitters. They're above our heads. Peace out.